Hello there, and many thanks for joining us once again on People, Politics, and Power. I am Imonia Marere. On Monday, August 26, there was a shake-up in the leadership structure of the country's intelligence services. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appointed new heads for the two principal domestic and external intelligence, security, and counterintelligence services of the country. The Department of State Services, DSS, and the National Intelligence Agency, NIA. He named Adeola Ajayi to take over from Yusuf Bichi at the DSS and Mohammed to replace Ahmed Rufai at the NIA. Both appointees are said to have years of distinguished service and careers behind them. The DSS is responsible for protecting Nigeria from domestic threats, gathering intelligence within the country, and safeguarding senior government officials. It works closely with other security agencies to prevent and respond to threats of terrorism, insurgency, political instability, organized crime, and such other challenges. The NIA, on the other hand, is Nigeria's foreign intelligence service, responsible for counterintelligence operations, gathering and analyzing intelligence related to Nigeria's external threats, diplomatic security, and the country's broad foreign policy goals. Its functions are similar to other international intelligence agencies like the CIA, the M16, and the Mossad. Both the DSS and the NIA were established under the National Security Agencies Act of 1986. Now, over the years, both agencies have been critical components of the country's security architecture, but have also been criticized at one point or the other over transparency, accountability, human rights abuses, arbitrary arrests, and detention without trial, as well as suppression of political dissent in some cases. Now, against the backdrop of Nigeria's past and current huge security challenges, the decision by the president to tinker with the leadership structure of the two agencies did not come entirely as a surprise to many in the security sector. What this implies is that the new spy heads have enormous tasks placed before them, including, but not limited to, combating the alarming spate of terrorism, banditry, insurgency, kidnapping for ransom, arms trafficking, armed robbery, and other such violent crimes. What can and will the new heads do differently to restore confidence in the agencies? What are the expectations of experts in the sector? What do they require to effectively and efficiently carry out their mandates? This is the focus of our discourse on the program, and to prepare the grounds for our discussion, let's take a listen to this report by our security correspondent, Ada Onoye.
Their resignations, Rufai Abubakar and Yusuf Bichi were the only surviving heads of their intelligence and security agencies appointed by former President Muhammadu Buhari. The two men had served for 6 years and 6 months, making them the second longest serving heads of their agencies. Despite calls for change in the security leadership, President Tinubu initially retained them. Ambassador Mohammed, a seasoned foreign service officer who takes over as the new NIA Director General, is expected to bring his wealth of experience from his service in various countries. Also, Adeola Ajayi is reputed to be a thorough operations man who rose through the ranks in the SSS to emerge the new boss. The new appointees face significant security challenges, including internal security issues, intelligence gaps, dearth of high-tech equipment, and threats from neighboring countries, as well as the ongoing menace of terrorists, bandits, and kidnappers. But can they turn things around?
People that have been put in this position at this material time must know that they don't have the advantage of time. They have to hit the ground running by bringing in new ideas and new methods of confronting this problem, because Nigerians really want to see changes. People want to see not just security of lives, but they also want to have security of mind. They should know that everybody, not just the government that puts them in this place, everybody is going to gauge them with a performance monitoring machinery to see with timeline what is it they are doing, what is it they are doing differently, and how are they going to achieve this. We are expecting results as quickly as possible.
Like previous appointees who remain in office despite major security and intelligence failures, President Tinubu may have to set out performance evaluation systems to ensure targets and security objectives are met.
What we require is adequate funding. There's no way you can adequately fund security, because in other subsectors, they are not adequately funded. But people are concerned because security remains very key and vital to our development. When there's no security, there won't be any meaningful development. And the leadership of the various security agencies should be transparent in managing the scarce resources that have been entrusted into them. You don't blame them. These are Nigerians. And again, you see issues of corruption, oversight from the National Assembly and the rest of them. So you have little or nothing to do with. And most of the funds generated or appropriated, over 70% on recurrent instead of capital.
The SSS, established in June 1986, is responsible for domestic intelligence and counterintelligence, focusing on neutralizing internal threats, enforcing criminal law, and safeguarding senior government officials, including the president. The NIA, on the other hand, handles foreign intelligence and counterintelligence, concentrating on external threats to Nigeria's national interest. The new NIA Director General, Mohammed, has been with the agency since 1995, serving in various roles, including as head of the Nigerian mission to Libya. His diplomatic experience includes postings to North Korea, Pakistan, and Sudan, as well as a stint at State House in Abuja. DSS new Director General, Adeola Oluwatosin Ajayi, also an agency insider, has risen through the ranks from Assistant Director General to his current position. His previous roles include serving as DSS Director in several states, including Bauchi, Enugu, Bayelsa, Rivers, and Kogi. The new spy chiefs of the NIA and DSS are saddled with tackling these issues head-on, working to regain public trust in their agencies.
All right, there you have it. The very extensive report by our security correspondent, Ada Onoye, profiling the new heads of the spy agencies in Nigeria, domestic and external. Well, I'm joined in the studio by two gentlemen, and another specialist is also, security specialist, also joining us via Zoom to discuss these issues and the expectations from the new heads of the two agencies. Right here in the studio, I'm joined by Mr. Chidi Omeje. Mr. Omeje is of the Center for Crisis Communication. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Omeje.
Thank you for having me.
We're also joined by a regular face on this program, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, retired director of the DSS. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
joining us. Yeah. And joining us virtually is Dr. Yahuza Gesso. Dr. Gesso is a security analyst. Dr. Gesso, thank you for finding time to join us.
Thank you for having me.
I can see that you are in your car. That means you have had to stop somewhere to be part of this program. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great. Right. So, Mr. Omeje, let's begin with you. What do you make of the new appointments and the departure of the old guard?
All right. First of all, we have to understand that the nature of security challenge we are confronting currently in this country can only be solved or resolved, through intelligence support. I mean, intelligence is just central to whatever effort we are trying to do. So, probably in the wisdom of the Mr. President, he feels that the erstwhile heads of these intelligence assets, maybe the one or two things they're not doing right, or maybe he needed some fresh ideas or fresh perspectives or fresh inputs, and then decide to bring in on board this new set. The good thing there is that both of the I'm talking about the new appointees were taken from from the service. People who are serving. A clear departure from the recent past where they had to go and bring somebody from retirement. Remember in custom, somebody from the Nigerian Army was made to be the custom CG. So the idea of bringing somebody from the service solves a number of things. One, you ensure that you secure the career progression of officers, and at the same time, you are bringing somebody who is actually in the know, who is actually part of the process, who's part of all the efforts. You'll be able to build on the efforts of the predecessor. So I think that Mr. President will go beyond appointing them to ensure that the goals, the set objectives, the expectations he has must be met. And these expectations are very clear. I mean, that is that of Nigerian people. Nigerian people want one thing: to have a country where people are secured, people are able to sleep with their eyes closed, people are, their lives and property are secured. The farmers can, access their farms. The travelers can, be safe on the highways, and that kidnapping, is no longer, a part of our life, or at least reduced to a point where people can safely, live a life. So as we speak now, the country is not normal. This is not how to live life. As we speak now, indeterminable number of compatriots are languishing in the forest in the hands of these fiends, these bandits. As we speak now, so many communities, so many states, almost all the entire country is immersed in one internal security challenge or the other. From the northwest, from the northeast, where you have, insurgency and terrorism, up to northwest, where of course banditry is now, that place is now the epicenter of banditry. North central is not left out. Down to the southeast, you have the violence brought upon by the strange phenomenon called unknown gunmen. Down to south, you have attacks on our maritime assets. And of course, in southwest, there are issues also. So across the country, there are numerous issues that can only be resolved if you have, a very functioning, very effective, very responsive, and very responsible, and very, how do I put it now, very patriotic intelligence asset. Because it's not just to do the work. You have to do the work to the point where Nigerians are safe in your hands, even as a security asset. Because we have had, history where these people who are made to secure the people become the albatross of the people. So we expect that this new set of intelligence chiefs will, having been part of the process, should have sat back and took notice and said, look, this is what my predecessor did right. This is what he did wrong. I'm going to continue on the right trajectory. I'm going to drop some of these things. This is why they were appointed from the service. So that because they know they're part of it, they should know where the problems are. And because Nigerians are expecting nothing less than security. We've had enough, and I think that this is the time for us to get it right.
Mr. Jofo, is there an asset that these two individuals are people who come from within? Some will argue that, look, they have been part of the system all along. They were part of whatever successes or failures that the departing heads may have had?
Yeah, very good question. First of all, I must take this opportunity to congratulate the outgone DGs and welcome the new DGs, also congratulating them. There's so much on their hands. Well, I think we have, if you remember that most of the times when we sit down here, I've always advocated for appointments from within the service. Because one, you know the terrain. It's not that other people who were there were not efficient. But again, if you are working with a group of people, you know them better than somebody who is coming in from retirement. But the luck we also had is that people who were appointed DGs in the SSS were also officers who have served within the service. Unlike the example you gave, where you have a colonel heading the custom. It's an abnormal situation that shouldn't even be tolerated because you don't know anybody there. And it kills career progression. They have much in their hands, the two DGs, because operations are driven by intelligence. And his address to the staff, I think you must have read in the papers too, as a professional, he has emphasized the need for covert operations. You have to see less of the SSS operatives in the public domain. I think that is a welcome development. He is a professional, somebody I know very closely, and I think he will bring his wealth of experience to bear, especially his management of the crisis in Rivers. He was friendly to all parties, no matter how. You know, Rivers State politics is turbulent, but he was able to effectively manage the crisis without drawing the air of any of the parties. So he has also served in Bauchi, he has served in Bayelsa, he has served in Enugu. So with all these contacts, it's expected that he is coming to the national level to exploit those contacts to the advantage of Nigeria. And I believe he's going to use those contacts to make sure that most of our security, who have a lot of security challenges, there's no part of this country that's exempt from one security challenge or the other. Again, you need to look at peculiar situations. Our security challenges, and we don't have one fit size for all problems. The solution you apply in Northwest, for instance, is not going to be the same solution you apply in the Southeast. I'm just giving an example. So we have to look at the critical environment. But the most important thing is that much is expected from him, especially from two of them. Much is expected from there, and I believe they're equal to the task. Only time will tell. I will continue to pray for them.
Dr. Augusto, let's bring you in now at this point. Like has been observed, Nigeria is facing very huge, in fact, some would say gargantuan security challenges. And these are two very critical agencies, intelligence agencies. That's what they are, both domestically and externally. And some have said that a lot of intelligence, either failure or operational challenges, have contributed to these security challenges. What do you think that the outgone DGs did not do right? And what do you think the new ones, or where do you think the new ones can take off from?
Well, first of all, I want to say to Nigerians that both the outgoing and the incoming head of the two agencies are experts, and they are professional, and they know their jobs. and they were all appointed based on the fact that they have experience and expertise to do the job. I know Bichi very well and very closely, and I know his successor very well. I work with him at Bauchi, and to some extent, I was in River State for some independent intelligence research, and I know how much he has imputed in making that environment useful in terms of intelligence generation and utilization. As far as I'm concerned, security in Nigeria might not really be underfunded. Yes, of course, there is every need. You cannot have adequate resources for managing security at any level and at any given situation. But looking at the fact that the budgets had been mobilized during the years of the predecessors, with participation, with active participation with successors, they all know their basic needs, and it is based on what you ask, you are given. And I have been following up, making budget monitoring, tracking, and following up with releases as far as security and intelligence in Nigeria is concerned, for all the agencies, not only the NIA and the DSS. And as far as I'm concerned, adequate and enough money has been paid, have been given by both the outgoing president and the incoming, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But the problem is we don't have inadequacy of personnel. So probably one of the key components, key things I expected from them is to sit down to their task and sit down to their responsibility. You know, one of the issues that we have in Nigeria is somebody to be given a responsibility and someone to hold the authority somewhere. So until and unless the government is ready to give both the authority and the responsibility to these heads of agencies and head of all other agencies, that is the only time when we will start working on how to manage the security challenges that we have. Two, I said it yesterday, a day before yesterday, I will say it today, and even tomorrow if I'm breathing, I will still say it. 99.9% of those who are committing crimes to Nigerian states are Nigerians. 99.9% of those who are committing state crimes to Nigerian states are Nigerians. More than 90% of those who are committing these crimes are known. More than 95% of those who are committing these crimes are not in any hideout that cannot be reached. They can be accessed, they can be fast-tracked, they can be managed, they can be dealt with if we have a serious, responsible, sincere, honest, and government that respects the Constitution and is ready to do the needful as at when due. So as far as I'm concerned, those who are managing the security at the macro level, there is need to have an interwoven strategy whereby the relationship between the military, paramilitary, and the civilians to establish a mechanism that will help in strengthening the relationship so that the public, the civilian could have confidence and trust on those who are managing the security at all levels so that they can provide them with adequate information. Those who have been appointed, they have enough information if they are serious and if they are ready to be serious to deal with current security situation as far as record management is concerned and as far as information management and as far as information flow is concerned. And based on the knowledge and based on the facts and ideas and evidence-based research facts that I have, which I may not discuss them in details on the media. But those who are listening to me, among my colleagues and among other experts who are in the service, they know the message I'm trying to deliver.
All
So
right.
if at all, The government says that we conducted dialogue, we conducted amnesty, we conducted this. There is a profile information of each and every gang leader in each and every local government where we have those who are committing state crimes. It is now left for the new heads to coordinate, to improve the synergy, to improve coordination mechanism, to improve collaboration and partnership with all the stakeholders and other sister agencies, so that they can work assiduously to deal with the situation accordingly. As far as I'm concerned, Nigeria's challenges, we have very enthusiastic personnel, we have very hardworking personnel, we have the required equipment and gadgets, we have the right flow of information, only that we refuse to do what we're supposed to do, which is somewhere else something is wrong. It is that something that is wrong, which is known to these heads of new security agencies, because they have been within the system and they know those things that I am itemizing, which I intentionally and professionally refuse to disclose through the media, that we need to go back to fix our house and ensure that we provide peaceful coexistence and safe and clear, safe environment for Nigerians to survive. There is nobody among the Boko Haram and leaders. There is nobody among the kidnappers in the Northwest and North Central. There is nobody among those who are agitating at the South and Southeast, as well as those so-called unknown gunmen that can operate or can conduct whatever they can do without them being known. They are all known. We know them. We know who they are. We know where they are. We should utilize the available resources of dedicated and enthusiastic and patriotic personnel that we have to manage them accordingly. It is managing the situation that we intentionally refuse. And it is becoming a lucrative business, and we are promoting it. This is institutional failures. So it's a total reform of all the institutions. It is not all about changing the heads. Even if you change the heads 1 million times, you will never get it right. Okay. As far as the authority and the government is not ready to be serious in dealing with those who are known. They are not unknown. Nobody should deceive me and say unknown gunmen, unknown kidnappers, or kidnappers at the hideout. They are not at any hideout. We know them. We know where they are. We know them by local governments. We know them by their communities. We know them by polling units. We know them by senatorial district. We know them by state assembly. We know them by senatorial assembly. We know them by regional level. So since we know them and we have their profile, what have we been waiting? And why do we have to continue waiting, changing security heads, changing operation strategy? We have every information, and we have very serious and dedicated patriotic personnel who can manage the situation and who can do it. Only that we refuse to give the authority for them to do it after giving the responsibility. So something is missing. There is gap.
Yeah, Dr. Gesso, you have thrown so much on the table here. Let my guest analysts who are also in the studio respond to some of those issues. So much, Mr. Jafar has been put on it. But let's begin with the issue of funding. He believes that the security agencies have had, particularly the intelligence agencies have had, over time, had enough funding, enough budgetary allocation. But perhaps the biggest problem will be in terms of appropriate utilization.
I don't agree with him, because issue of funding is not peculiar to security services alone or the armed forces. But people are bothered because without security, you cannot do anything. Now, you have to create that enabling environment for people to thrive in their businesses. If you don't have that environment, that's why people are concerned. Look at farmers cannot go to the farm. You can't travel on the road. And you go to police stations. Police, Nigeria Police, is the statutory body charged with maintenance of internal security. Go to any police station and see how many staff you have. Some stations, you have 2, 3 persons. And how do you expect them to? And you make a report, they ask you to bring papers, bring this into right. And if the provisions were there, they wouldn't be facing such challenges. In the SSS, you also have staff understaffing. Virtually all the people. Because you cannot recruit without budgetary allocation. You cannot recruit. We are talking about technology. People have to be on ground to operate the technology. So, and you know the Nigerian process, if you look at, I'm sure if I live here now, some of our senators will be calling me. To get your allocation approved in the National Assembly, they will look for, in the name of oversight, they will look for money. And down the line, if it gets to the various agencies, from leadership to down the line, the money is depleting. And majority of the budget is on recurrent, which is salary. So what I will advise the 2 new intelligence chiefs is to articulate their needs and submit. Like a proverb in my place, you see a hawk carrying a chicken, you'll be shouting. The chicken is saying he's shouting not because he wants the hawk to leave it, but for people to know that it has been taken away. So you need to articulate your needs and table it the way it is. So that if it's not approved, you can fall back on that. Even the National Assembly. We're not saying give 100%. It's not possible that you come and give 100% approval on a request. But let us improve in our allocations. And, coming to the expectations, I look at it from 2 angles, internal and external. The internal mechanism would be to look at the morale of the staff, look at their welfare, look at their training. If you don't train people very well, you cannot succeed. And you don't train without funds. Then the external, I would need to see more collaboration more synergy between the agencies and the intelligence. There need to be exchange of intelligence. There's another problem. We don't lack in intelligence in this country for our operations. But the problem is, how do you implement, what capacity or capabilities do the action agencies have to tackle such a situation? Even if you tell me there's going to be a kidnap here today, and you pass that information without the capacity to. But I also believe, like I was reading yesterday, I was highly embarrassed, on the 2 APC that were set ablaze. But nobody knows what to believe now. But I have also seen a statement that it was a tactical withdrawal, so that they have ambush. In such situation, why don't we deploy our area power? Granted, there will be collateral damage, but when you need to patrol that area, hover around area to see who is on ground. Don't also forget these people are heavily armed. So expectation, we need more synergy, we need more cooperation, we need more exchanges of intelligence. And most importantly, you must fund them, because you cannot send a child to farm without the necessary tools.
Okay, Mr. Omeje, yes, a lot, the funding and for utilization of such funds, where those funds are available. And then Dr. Gesso also talked about the lack of political will on the part of leadership to get some of these security challenges out of the way. He talked about the fact that we appear to have all the intelligence we need. Yeah. We seem to know all those that are committing these different types of crimes. but we are unable or unwilling to move in and get this result.
Yeah, I listened to the Mr.
Gesso, Dr.
Dr.
Gesso.
Gesso, right? And you know, I need to unpack one or two things he said. Look, I can encapsulate the entirety of what he said into one word, which we just mentioned: political will. Political will is the key issue here. From what my brother here mentioned, we know that our intelligence assets are up and running, right? You know, they've been productive. I don't work with them, but from what I'm hearing, they are doing their work. They're doing everything. But how do we bring those works? How do we effectuate those works? What will make it happen? How do we realize the benefit of the entire intelligence efforts if we lack political will? Political will is the factor here. Now, let me break it down a little bit so you can understand what I mean. You see, no matter how effective you are maybe as an intelligence agency or as a police force or as a military, as an armed forces, you know, there are certain level you get to and you get stuck because there's that political will that ought to, you know, push you, to galvanize you into, reaching the zenith of your action is lacking. I had expected this current government to have understood that the stumbling block between the wedge between, you know, intelligence efforts and actual implementation of those results is the lack of political will. Of course, we all know that the last administration under a previous government, you know, grossly lacked that. I mean, you know, deliberately or I don't know, whatever it is, but we know that then that particular administration was unable to make things happen. Deliberately or not, nobody knows. So I had expected this current government to understand this challenge and then have a presidency that will stand its feet and give these intelligence assets the biting force, the power to do things, to bring to life all these efforts. You see, what the young man was saying there on TV, in his car, it got me thinking. You know, he said a lot of things that we know where they are. Most Nigerians want to believe him. That, you know, there are a lot of things that are happening. Which government are not taking the right action? Take, for instance, the man who has been orchestrating violence in the southeast. He's sitting pretty in Finland. And the Nigerian government, I don't know, probably they do something, but they're looking at him and every day he's orchestrating violence in that part of the country. And we have not activated that diplomatic effort or whatever thing to rein on him. And there's a country he stays in. Is it not possible for us to, you know, take up that challenge with them? Even if that Finland cannot work, how about the European Union? So somebody is destabilizing a major part of the country, and we're looking at him for years. Then you come down to other parts of the country. You see a particular terror bandit they call Bello Turji. He had come out to make so many incriminating statements about even serving government officials and former office holders, including ex-governors, saying that they're complicit in one or two things. How come that political, you know, will to rein in on this thing are lacking? And some of these people are still there gallivanting, you know, grandstanding, you know, pretending to be working for us. Meanwhile, they have baggages on them. So what I'm saying is that political will, as long as it's lacking, you do not expect magic or miracle from, you know, the operatives, because there are certain things they cannot go beyond. If for instance, you know, a prominent member of administration is named or, you know, is accused of being complicit in something, do you think that the intelligence asset will have the freedom or have the, you know, the latitude to go after the person if the political will back it, if for instance if the powers that be do not authorize that? This is the reality of our country, because we run a system where, you know, everything revolves under a particular presidency or a particular, you know, federal government. So we need to unburden all these things and see how it's affecting the operationalization of intelligence efforts. You have to see how it is affecting, you know, the inputs of other people in other layers. So that political will, which that man, everything he said was all about political will and the lack of it. If we get it right, we'll move a notch higher.
Dr. Gesso, I'm sure that you have so much more to bring on board in this discussion. But what is obvious right now is the fact that these two new spy chiefs have so much on their plate. You have said that whether or not we change the heads of these agencies a million times, if we do not drill it down the line, not much will change. How exactly do you mean? What do you mean by drilling it down the line?
Well, let me first of all assist my senior colleague, Mr. Mike, in the fact that I said that agencies are not inadequately funded. For the fact that my reasons are, how have we been accounting for the trillions of dollars being borrowed in the name of security? Let me and you, as professionals, conduct an X-ray of how much money have been imputed, what is the total number of land size of where the state criminals are, those who are committing state crimes, what is the land size of where they are, what is their population, what is the population of our manpower, and how have they been able to ambush our experts despite the training and the skills they have. Let's compare and contrast based on the money imputed. Have we really accounted for Nigerians? The money spent by Buhari administration for 8 years, and the money so far spent by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration from the onset to date. Can we really account how much we imputed and how much security we have provided based on the distribution of the landmass, based on the distribution of the profile of the criminals, based on the distribution of the armament and equipment, and how can we compare and contrast the performance of the money we used in terms of inputs, and who made the budgetary who submitted the budgetary requisition? Is it the agencies or the governments? Is it the individuals or the institutions? So maybe this will be a topic for discussion, maybe at a time when I'm back in Abuja. I will try to meet my senior colleague, Mr. Mike, so that we can make some useful and justifiable assessment to come out with accountability mechanism, to use accountability measurements, to see if what we really imputed in terms of resources have really gone down even 10% to the extent of managing the security challenges that we have in Nigeria. Let this be a subject for discussion for another time when I meet my senior colleague, and I thank you very much for the rider. Coming back to your question. Yes, of course, like I mentioned, let's take, for example, let me give you the outlined 14 local governments only from the Northeast, North Central, and Northwest, only, without going to South, Southeast, and Southwest. I know the terrain very well. I spend my life, more than 98% of my life, I spend it in the forest. I still go out for hunting, even tomorrow I'll go. Even right now that I'm talking to you, I'm preparing, through this night, I will go to one of the forests. I'm going out for hunting. And that's my business. And that is how I'm able to reach the unreached. And that is how I am reaching the hard to reach and difficult terrain and extracting the real happening on ground. I'm not a paper person. I'm a field person. And I'm always on the field getting the right information. This local government, let's take Hong, let's take Michika, let's take Maiha, let's take Madagali. That is between Adamawa and Borno State. Let's take Shinkafi, let's take Isa, let's take Sabambirni, and let's take Goronyo. Let's take Zurmi, let's take Charanchi, let's take Bazari, and let's take Jibia. Only these local governments. None of these local government, in each of these local governments, there is no political words among the political words that are in these local governments that you don't have criminals existing. Are they living underground? Are they living on the sky where we cannot reach out to them? And how have we been conducting the dialogue that the governors have been proclaiming, which I have been arguing, that we have conducted dialogue with the criminals? How do you know them? So if we really know them, if we really know those Boko Haram who are in Maya, Madagali, Michika, Kuyakosara, and the rest of the areas of Biu, Emirates, and the other areas of Yobe and other areas of Borno and Adamawa, and if we really know who are the criminals disturbing Kachia, Binongwari, Giwa local government, as well as other local governments in Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, Kebbi, and other places, what have we been doing that we cannot get to where they are? I said time was outnumbered. If government didn't know where these guys are, they should invite me. I'm ready to strategically assist them. I have been providing information and intelligence supporting operations in Nigeria since the years of 2001, when the first time I discovered the AK-47 in the wrong hand, and that was the first report I submitted. So what have we been doing with all these informations that Yehuza Gezo and his alike have been provided? And the intelligence that we have as the local governments, those who have been committing monthly review meetings in all the 773 local governments that we have in Nigeria, those informations we are generating from the ward level, from the polling unit level to the ward level to the local government level, conducting monthly review meeting, generating this information to the offices of the state directors of the DSS, to the commissioners of the police, to the brigade commanders, unit commanders, and others. How have we been faring, and what have we achieved so far in terms of accountability? If really President Muhammadu Buhari and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will account by the number of local government and the size of the geographical size, as well as the financial inputs, can we really account for even 15%? So if not, it means there is 85% corruption. It means there is 85% lack of reward and punishment. It means there is 85% lack of monitoring, evaluation, or lack of utilization of the result of monitoring, evaluation, and assessment. It means that the new heads are expected to improve on these lines. Okay. It means the new heads should bring on board and to the table those who have been claiming that they know where these guys are, and you use them judiciously so that they can fast track where these guys are and deal with them accordingly. I said we know where they are, we know who they are.
Our time is fast running out. Thank you so much for your very invaluable contributions. Let me get back to the studio and to get Mr. Omeje to give us his closing thoughts on this. Moving forward, what do we need to do, or what do the new spy chiefs need to do, pointed in the short, medium, and long term?
Right. I think that their jobs are quite cut out for them. They know what the challenges are. And one of the issues we have right now is this the divided polity that we have. The new spy chiefs need to see how they can help to cement our unity. If you wander into the social media and see the kind of thing that's happening there, the kind of division, the kind of, what do you call it? Discrimination on there, you know that this is a recipe waiting to happen. So I expect them to go beyond. I just brought an aspect, that something that we have been overlooking. People don't tend to see that because most times we say that the approach to deal with the internal security problem is all of society approach. But in a society where you have that's fragmented politics and religion and ethnicity, you cannot have that all of society approach. So that is one thing that
can we take politics out of security?
It is quite difficult in our polity. It's quite difficult because the politicians have politicized even security. They have to politicize it. Even the ones in power, they use it to suppress people. The ones in opposition use it to to find a way to get the government to look demonize the government. So we have already put politics into our security architecture, security structure to the point that it is very ruinous. We have to find a way to get this out of system because it is a lot of things are going awry because we have allowed politics to politics, religion, and ethnicity to creep into our security efforts.
Mr. Jaffa?
Yeah, I think their jobs are cut out for them, like you said.
Yeah.
They need to awaken the people's consciousness at whatever level. Because if you are not conscious, you don't know what information is, you don't know what intelligence is.
True.
Information is processed to become intelligence. So they need to awaken the people's consciousness. Awakening the people's consciousness is also, like you said, politicians. More than 80% of our problems, security problems, are politically generated.
True.
So they need to also, if a seminar, even at the National Assembly level, at the governors, organize seminars for these people and tell them the implication. If we don't have a country called Nigeria, they won't have their position. So they need to protect our democracy. They need to mind it because they make inflammatory, provocative statements that generates problems. You can see the way the polity is heated up, and this is not good for us. They need to awaken the people's consciousness. And at whatever level, from national to local government, however they want to do it, let the people volunteer information. Let us not leave it, like you said, it's a whole society concept. We cannot leave it for our security agencies alone because they are not only understaffed, they are underfunded, they cannot operate effectively as presently constituted. So we need to carry the people along. And I'm sure the new DG will leave his door open to people for new ideas.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mike Ejiofor, former director of the DSS, and he's been joined by Mr. Chidi Meje, who is of the Center for Crisis Communication. Thank you so much. And of course, we were also joined by Dr. Yahuza Gesso, who is a security expert. Thank you so much, Dr. Gesso, for finding time to join us. And we wish you a very successful hunting this evening. Thank you so much. All right, our viewers out there, thank you so much for investing your time with us. We hope that we have been able to communicate. Thank you. And we'll see you again when we bring you a fresh edition of the program. Bye for now.